Hello everyone, welcome back to rFactor 2, welcome back to Low Fuel Motorsport, and welcome to Oulton Park, where you join me on the grid for my first ever BTCC race. And we're underway, starting from 22nd on the grid out of 24 drivers. I didn't actually set a lap time in qualifying due to some technical issues. I didn't even get out for a lap, so we're going into this one cold. It's going to be a real learning experience. We actually got away reasonably well when the lights went green, but Howard McMillan in front of us was a lot slower to get off the line. I didn't have anywhere to go. I had no choice but to lift, and that allowed Rui Paver to nip up the inside. So we've lost a position to Paver. However, we are still holding on to the 22nd position we started from as Paver gets a little bit sideways. We're racing the island layout today, so we've got this horrible hairpin to contend with, and I almost take out Rui Paver there. I broke a little bit too late and had to take a void in action, so I didn't run into the back of the BMW, and there's a big wreck in front, and there's a fireball. We've got to weave our way through the debris and the flames. Spectacular accident on lap 1 here at Oulton Park. We've actually climbed as high as 17th place, but we're not going to hold on to it because Sidiop Seb in the BMW have the inside line going into Hislop chicane. So we'll let Seb have that 17th position. We're down to 18th. We run a bit wide on exit 2. That's going to cost us some speed up Clay Hill. And there's a car in front kicking up a huge dust cloud. It's Matt Kingston Lee in that green Toyota. Now I wonder if Kingston Lee has picked up some damage somewhere, because he is looking like he's having a real struggle to hold on to that car. Meanwhile, we get a much better exit than Seb out of Druids Corner. We're able to pull alongside the BMW, and we should get this pass done because we've got the inside line into the final turn. And yes, we do get it done. We're up to 17th. It might be 16th because Kingston Lee is headed to the pits. So yes, he must have had damage. Let's take another look at this fireball. Now keep your eye on the green, blue and white Hyundai of Tom Kapusta. There's an accident going on in front of him, which he unluckily gets caught up in, and then he gets drilled from behind, and that causes that Hyundai to burst into flames. Spectacular stuff. On board now with Rui Paver. Paver managed to make up several positions by being in the right place at the right time, but we can watch me behind. I get squeezed out. I can't make the same progress. Well, the field soon started to spread out, and by lap 5, not only did I find myself in a fairly lonely 16th position, I also started to realise that I might have overcooked my tyres in these opening laps. You can see how much I'm struggling to get it turned through Druids Corner there. The yellow flags are out, so we have picked up a position as well. That was Peter Rodge who was in the gravel. Yeah, this was one of the race's big hitters crashing out. Peter Rodge qualified 3rd, gets it all wrong coming over the top of Clay Hill and careers into the barrier. A big accident. We're a third of the way into the race now, and it's quickly dawning on me that tyre management is essential in BTCC. I've not been doing it, and I'm paying the price now. I'm really struggling to control this Ford Focus. We're going to gain another position though. The yellow flag's are out, and that was Chris Williams who spun off at the hairpin. Yeah, Williams had qualified 6th on the grid. Here he is battling with Teach Swiss in the Affinity, and there's contact. The BMW of Williams gets sent out. Well, not only am I struggling with tyre wear, I'm also struggling with front-wheel drive in general. It's safe to say I am not a touring car expert. Look how much I'm struggling to get this Ford Focus turned in, particularly through Druids Corner here. We're out onto the grass, and by the time we rejoin and get back on the track, we're going to be down to 18th. That's cost us 4 positions, that mistake, and it's only going to get worse. We are losing grip by the corner here. Yeah, I had fried my tyres, which made for a really stressful second half to this race, particularly when I was caught by the leaders. That's YouTuber Dave Cameron out in front, battling ferociously with Andre Koss. I panic and have to get out onto the grass to let the pair of them by. The last thing I wanted to do was take those two out. Yeah, it was such a relief when I got to the end of this race. Look how much I'm struggling through this final turn. There's no grip at all. The tyres are completely shot. We did gain 1 more position over these final few laps due to a retirement. That promotes me up to 17th, a position that I'm grateful to take. At times in this race, I really didn't think I was going to finish it. And my fastest lap paints a grim picture, a 1:28 flat, so far off the pace, it's embarrassing. But I soon decided that I wanted to give this race another try and learn from the mistakes I made in that first outing. So I started by switching cars. I've decided to go for a rear-wheel drive, so we're hopping in the Infinity. And I'm hoping I'll find it a little bit easier to manoeuvre around than the front-wheel drive Ford Focus in race 1. Secondly, I need to drive far less aggressively. I need to preserve my tyres in race 2, where we're going to be starting from 15th on the grid. Now, it's still not a great starting position, but there are signs of encouragement that I might be getting on a little bit better with the Infinity. My qualifying time, a 1:26.5, so a lot quicker than the lap times I was managing in that first race. And if you thought lap 1 was chaotic last time out, you ain't seen nothing yet. The first lap of this one is absolute carnage. And we're underway, race 2 at Oulton Park. Oh no, we've lost all power off the line. We get clipped from behind and we've been spun around. What a disastrous start to this race. Dear oh dear, we've had some bad starts in our time, but that one has got to be the worst of the lot. That was a complete embarrassment. Poor Fabian Roland, he started behind me, had nowhere to go. He ran into the back of me. That sent me spinning across the path of Joe Holton. And we are now miles behind, although we're going to get several positions back straight away. There are cars everywhere. What on earth has gone on coming out of T1? There are about 5 or 6 cars on the grass. There's another one rejoining in front. And that is absolutely incredible. I went from being miles behind to 14th place in the space of about 10 seconds. We'll go back and check out a replay to see what happened once we get this first lap out of the way. But for now, we're going to work our way around the hairpin. Oh no, there's a rejoin right in front of me. Richard McCormack rejoining from the grass. I on the left had nowhere to go. And just like that, all those positions we gained, we've lost them again. I can't believe the curveballs that this first lap is throwing up. What is going to happen next? Okay, through his laps for the first time. Let's try and calm down a bit. Take a deep breath. Try and find some rhythm. Remembering as well that I can't push too hard. I've got to preserve these tyres. Yellow flags out again. What has gone on in front? I can't see anything at the moment. Oh, there it is. It's Joe Holt's BMW. We just managed to avoid it. It looks like Martin Johnson wasn't so lucky. That Ford flew out into the barrier on the left. Jeez, just a couple of corners ago I was saying I needed to take a deep breath and calm down, and then that happens. What a terrible place to crash for Joe Holton, right over the top of Clay Hill. Poor Martin Johnson wasn't able to survive that one. Thankfully we did, and we're up to 15th. Oh no, I really don't want to watch this part of the replay. I just lost all my revs and then I get hit from behind by Fabian Roland. He's got nowhere to go, and poor Joe Holton has to try and avoid me as well. This is on board with Holton. You can see he's got nowhere to go either, and he just T-bones me. I'll be sending both of those guys an apology after the race, but for now, let's see what caused the even bigger accident around the other side of T1. Keep your eye on this green Ford. That's Alessio Folletto starting from 4th. There's going to be a BMW on his inside. That's Taras Sufnik. There's contact as Sufnik tries to make the pass. Both of them spin out, and then it causes absolute mayhem. There are cars swerving, sliding, trying to avoid the wreck, and it's a huge pile-up. Let's ride on board with Simon Longshaw. He was slap bang in the middle of this mayhem. He does really well to avoid the first couple of cars, but he runs out of luck. There's just no room, and he ploughs into one of the other cars. My good friend from SCB, Caillouvet Steer, he was also involved. He just about got past it as well, but then gets clipped at the last possible moment, which sends him into a spin as well. And I couldn't believe my luck when I got all those positions back straight away, but my luck didn't last for long. Richard McCormack spinning off at the hairpin, rejoins right in front of me. A slam on the brakes to try and avoid hitting him, but I've got no chance. It sends me out onto the grass, and by the time I rejoin, I've lost a bunch of positions. And the biggest fright was yet to come when Joe Holton lost it going over the crest of Clay Hill. He's tried his very best to save it, but he gets clipped from behind, and you couldn't pick a worse place to come to a standstill. Completely unsighted. Every driver coming up around this corner won't see Holton until the very last minute. Look at Martin Johnson out onto that grass. He loses it big time. The driver in front did incredibly well to save it. Johnson wasn't so lucky, and he's going to be joined by someone else taking avoiding action too. What a nightmare. Back to the live action now, lap 3. We're still in 15th position. We're about 1.5 seconds behind Richard McCormack in 14th. We do close in a little bit going through that hairpin, and we're also going to close in on James Lee because it looks like James Lee has had a bit of an off-track excursion. Yeah, it's so easy to lose it through this hairpin. Lee, just one of many drivers to see the rear step out on exit. That sends him onto the grass. He is able to get back on. He's lost a couple of positions, but he does usually get back on in front of me. Rejoining the live action at the end of lap 4. We're doing a decent job of sticking with these guys now, and we can actually see 11th place. That's the green Infinity car just going up over the hill. Espen Senna, he's in 11th, closely followed by Fabian Rolland in 12th. Then it's Richard McCormack in 13th, and then James Lee in 14th. Lee just 0.3 of a second ahead now. We're really quick through turn 1 there, and we're closing in on Lee. Yeah, I'm feeling a lot more confident in this car than I was in the Ford Focus during race 1. There's no way past Lee around this turn, so we just tuck back in behind. I was hoping for a better drive than I got out of that corner. We'll lose a 10th or 2 there, but we should close back in when the pack concertinas together at this hairpin. And it looks like Fabian Rolland might have missed the apex there because Richard McCormack's going to tuck it up the inside. McCormack is up to 11th, Rolland down to 12th. He's out on the grass and there's almost contact with James Lee. Lee charges by as well. Have I got the pace to get by? No, I haven't. Rolland takes the defensive line, but he's completely offline. Rolland struggling to get that car back under control. He's going to miss the apex into this right-hander. There's room for us to dive up the inside. Rolland's out onto the grass too, and that'll promote us up to 13th position. Yeah, that's right, 13th position. We gained a bonus place on that lap, and that's because of this incident. Jean-Michel Lariou crashing out just before the hairpin. So that gave us 1 place, and then we gained another one when Fabian Rolland got it all wrong coming through his lops. He was defensive on entry, deep on exit, ran wide at this final right-hander, and that sent him out onto the grass. That promoted us up into 13th. Well, over the next few laps, I struggled to keep the pace with McCormack and Lee. By the start of lap 9, I was 3 seconds back. However, we're going to get a position through turn 1. Look to the right. That was Espen Senna, who's crashed out in the Infinity. Yeah, Senna was running in 10th place, desperately trying to hold off the challenge of Richard McCormack when he ran it in too hot into T1, clipped the grass and slid out. Meanwhile, behind me, Fabian Rolland dropped right back. This is him getting lapped a few minutes later, and he outbroke himself into Druid's corner. That slides him into the tyre wall where he's going to pick up some damage. And crucially, it's also going to inadvertently cost Oscar Wilde a bunch of positions. Wilde running in the top 10 at the moment, but Rolland's going to rejoin right in front of him. Wilde clips him, and unfortunately for Wilde, that's going to cause him some damage, which is going to require a pit stop to repair. That'll promote us up another position. Yeah, after that nightmare start, it's almost impossible to believe that we're on the fringes of the top 10. We're starting lap 11 now, and we're 3.5 seconds behind James Lee in 10th place, so we have got a lot of work to do if we're going to catch these 2 guys up. Or maybe we won't have a lot of work to do because the yellow flags are out. They've both come to grief. We have to come to a complete stop. Nobody's moving. We reverse to give ourselves some space and get going and get in front of the pair of them. We're up to 9th. Yeah, McCormack just ran it in a little bit too hot into the hairpin. He drifts wide on exit. Lee tries to make a move, but he's going a bit wide himself. He tags the rear of McCormack. They both come to a stop, and this has got to be the lowest speed overtake I've ever made. It was more like trying to get out of a busy supermarket car park than trying to take a top 10 position in a BTCC race, but I'll take it. And McCormack trying to rejoin. Oh no, it gets worse for McCormack. So we're 2/3 of the way into this race now, and I'm absolutely ecstatic to be in 9th position. I am getting warning signs that the tyres are starting to go off, particularly through T1 here. We're really lucky to stop that car from spinning when we got onto the grass there. In front of us, Kai-Uwe Steers in 8th position, but he's 17 seconds down the road. I've got no chance of catching him. So it's certainly not worth pushing this car any harder and asking even more of my already worn tyres, particularly when James Lee is only 3.5 seconds behind. Let's try and protect this 9th position, but we've got to get around the back marker first. That's Fabian Rolland. I prefer to be on the inside. Hopefully Rolland's going to give me space. I thought he was going to squeeze me onto the grass there, but yep, Rolland has backed out of that one, thankfully, so we can make it into his lops, successfully navigating our way past the back marker. Well, although my tyres were quite warm for the final third of the race, I've managed them a lot better in this race, and as a result, the last 10 minutes was far less stressful. That was particularly helped by the fact that we lost James Lee with a few laps to go as well, so I've got a gap of 13 seconds back to Simon Longshaw in 10th. So all I need to do is navigate one more turn, the final corner at Oulton Park. We get around it okay, and we're going to bring this car home in 9th position. I'm absolutely thrilled with that, especially after such a disastrous start to this race. Yeah, it was really hard work, that one. The added jeopardy that tyre management brings is something I'm not really used to, so it's a whole new challenge. And here are the classified results. There we are in 9th position, and a fastest lap this time of 1:27.1. So again, not quite quick enough to challenge anyone inside the top 8. I think 9th position was as good as we could have realistically hoped for here. So that's it from my first 2 BTCC races in rFactor 2. Thank you to everyone who's watched and supported the channel. Thanks in particular to Nick Martin. It was Nick's kind donation that allowed me to get this DLC and bring this race to the channel. There'll certainly be more BTCC races to come on CR Sim Racing, so a huge thank you to Nick for that. And if you want to check out another rFactor 2 first, feel free to watch the video on screen now. Earlier this week, I did my first ever open wheel challenge in the F3 at Hockenheim. It was a cracker too. Let me know what you thought of this race, in particular if you've got any tips on how to drive a touring car or how to manage tyre wear better. I'd be glad to hear them. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend of racing. See you soon.